Hi, this is Little Dwarf playing games while rambling incoherently into a microphone. Why? Well, just because I can, and I continue with the Dwarves, Blind. Now, last time I discovered some kind of a tomb belonging to the Thirdling clan, who seemed to be some kind of an evil dwarven clan. There were descriptions of ceremonies involving bathing in their enemy's blood, and also the shrine to Vrakas, the dwarven god, the divine smith, was really small, as if they didn't respect him that much. And the protagonist, or at least the narrator, commented on that fact. I was looking for Goren, the apprentice of Lotionan, the mage, but he's not here, so I have to look for him elsewhere. According to his journal, he left to some kind of an elven village. So I presume I'm going to follow him there. But first, let's go back to Boindo and the other guy. I forgot the other dwarf's name.
So, Scholar, what are the results of your inquiries?
There is an abandoned fortress in the mountain, and I think it belonged to the Thirdlings.
Boindale's eyes narrow.
The blasted dwarf killers!
A Thirdling fortress? Here? In the middle of Girdlegard? We must let High King Gundrabur know about this.
The fortress has been long abandoned by the looks of it. Anyway, I can't go to Ogre's death until I have completed my quest. Goren is in Greenglade.
Huh.
I guess I would like to know more about the Thirdlings, and why are they referred to as traitor?
A Thirdling fortress? Here, in the heart of Girdlegard. That's strange, isn't it?
And worrying. But they've always been wily. They move in the shadows and kill there too if they can. Do you know their story?
I've read about it. Lorenberg, their progenitor, rejected the name that Vrakas gave him, who in turn did not give him any special talents, so his kingdom studied war.
It helps them defending the East, but it also meant they ended up confronting the other kingdoms. No dwarf would ever even think of injuring one of his kind, never mind killing him. But the dwarf killers are proud of it. When they were even more powerful, they wanted to become the rulers of all dwarves. They are envious of our skills. They haven't been heard of for a long time, but you can be sure there isn't a single dwarf alive who doesn't hate them.
Okay, so that's kind of interesting, because this creation story, well, I don't know how true that is in actuality. It seems a bit like a legend, what with Vrakas kind of cursing them by not providing them with any special skill in crafts. So it seems to imply that the other dwarven clans all have like a speciality in some kind of a craft, and it seems war is not something that the dwarves do with pleasure. It's not something they sort of deliberately specialize in. It seems from the way the twins talked about it that the main preoccupation for the dwarves is craftsmanship, and they take real pride in their skill in that regard. And I presume they treat war as a duty sometimes, but not as a goal in life. Whereas the Thirdlings, according to this legend at least, having lacked any kind of real talent in craftsmanship, have devoted themselves to war specifically, and this warlike nature and this warlike culture has led them to develop conflicts with the other dwarven clans. Okay.
The High King, why do you want to bring me to him?
All right then. It's about the choice of the new High King. Gandagar, the king of the Fourthlings, is with his entourage in Ogre's death and is supposed to ascend the throne.
But our acting High King Gundrabur wants to prevent that from happening. He fears that Gandagar wishes to instigate a war against the elves.
Is it about some kind of a deception by the Alpha? Although I've talked about this specific scenario regarding the intro, and I talked about how it seemed to me that Sintaras has wasted the opportunity to pretend he's an elf, because he proudly announces himself as being an alpha as opposed to an elf. And in fact, in the intro, he said they are here to destroy the elves, but I guess that was 1,000 years ago. So presumably, maybe the exact knowledge of that have been lost in time. And I guess that ruse could still work with the alpha pretending to be the elves. And maybe that's why the king of the Fourthlings wants to wage war against them, because he is convinced that they are behind the attacks.
But what have I got to do with that?
Boindil is about to say something, but is silenced by a nudge in the side from his brother.
High King Gundrabur will explain everything when the time comes.
You look distrustfully from one twin to the other. Boindil has donned an innocent expression, and Boendal doesn't give you the impression that he has anything else to say on the matter.
Yeah, that's an important question, I guess, although, as I said, I already have my own theories.
What does this King Gandagar have against the elves?
Dwarves and elves just don't get along. Brachus and Satalia made us that way.
I know that, but going to war for just that after all this time?
Well, there must be more behind it. They say that the king of the Fourthlings is full of hatred and is a hothead in this matter.
Whatever, your High King must wait. I have a quest to carry out in Greenglade.
But our quest is...
Boindil raises a placatory hand and throws his rucksack onto his back in preparation.
Let it be, dear brother. Look at him. He has made his decision, and you will not be able to change his stubborn dwarven mind.
You can't help but smile.
Okay, so where is my current objective? Right here, Greenglade. So I might pass through here, Fallowston. I guess I'm kind of interested in chasing down this orc horde, but I'm not sure if I can take down a horde of orcs with just 3 dwarves. Is it an actual quest? How do I check that? Diversion in the south. The elf Sintaras has ordered 3 orc warlords to cause unrest. You can't be everywhere at once, but perhaps you can stop 1 or 2 hordes and prevent the worst from happening. Steepleton was able to repel an orc attack. The commander asked you to wipe out the rest of the orcs to the south of the city. King Tilgurn of Idoslane and his cavalry has destroyed another one of the orc hordes. If they or you had been quicker, you may have been able to save more humans. Oh well. So I guess I will try to fight them, because the quest log seems to assume I should be able to. Okay, let's go.
You approach Scalebrook through its expansive fields and spot smoke rising up into the sky. A short while later, you can hear the cries of battle, and finally you can smell the tallow on the orc's armor. Scalebrook is at war.
Yeah, attack the orcs to defend Scalebrook. Okay, so I can use an item like to hold in my inventory, so I guess I will choose a small healing potion for Tangdil and a healing potion for this guy. Talisman of Healing. Yeah, I guess let's give it to him. So his passive is that he never loses more than 5% of his maximum health from a single attack. And his passive is Ironheart. He can... Boindale's Ironheart can awaken due to damage. Boindale deals huge amounts of damage for a short period of time. It can be controlled, so it's like a rage ability. Okay, let's start the fight.
Quick! We have to help those people. Huh?
As good as done. Say goodbye forever.
Of course!
Yes?
And what now?
Huh?
Huh? Ha-ha!
Uh-huh. On my way.
And what now?
Too easy, you. Yes?
Find somewhere safe to hide. We'll come back for you once we've saved the other villagers.
All right. As good as done. With pleasure.
Who's next?
On my way.
Damn it, I wonder if I killed one of the villagers myself. Kind of what it looked like, to be honest.
Another one bites the dust.
And I feel rather bad about this.
Oh, what bad luck for you. Huh?
But I guess this is war, you know. Many of them will die regardless. That's kind of how war works.
What is it?
And I presume
That's it! They're fleeing!
I don't think so. They're just rallying.
And that's what we should do too. Come on.
Thank you so much. You saved us.
Not yet. The orcs are rallying. You must join us.
But we can't.
You must. Here they come.
I presume if I wasn't here, they would have all died, so saving some of them is, you know, still kind of better.
What is too easy? He hardly put up a fight.
As good as done.
Yes? And again.
And what now? Ow!
Yes.
Hey!
Okay.
Yes? On my way.
Vile creature! And what now? Of course!
Say goodbye forever.
He hardly put up a fight.
Yes? I didn't hit you very hard.
Huh? Attack! And again. Understood.
Again, I'm not quite sure if I'm not killing the villagers with AoE,
Another one
which
bites the dust.
is kind of fucked up when you think about it, but
What is it?
it's difficult to really,
Yes?
like, this goes pretty fast.
For Vraka!
I guess I could use the active pause.
Didn't hit you very hard.
You know, it's presumably there to be used,
Huh? All right.
but still,
As
it's
good as
sometimes
done.
difficult
At
to
once.
tell.
What is it?
Yes? On my way.
If I'm hitting my own
On my way.
allies or not.
Who's next?
On my way.
And what now? Of course!
Huh? As good as done.
Yes?
What is it?
Another one bites the dust. Say goodbye forever.
While Boindale still hunts the last of the orcs through the alleyways of the village, you and Boindale are already helping search for survivors. Various villagers, all with shocked, ashen faces, come and thank you for saving them. A middle-aged man nervously steps from one foot to the other and tries to force a smile.
My father, the village elder, he is dead. I think I must follow in his footsteps, so I thank you in the name of Scalebrook. He left behind some gold as a dowry for my sister. She's...
The man bows his head, produces a leather pouch, and kneads it with trembling hands.
If only you'd come earlier.
But before you can reply, the man takes a deep breath and forces himself to look at you.
What am I saying? How ungrateful. Thanks to you, many of us are still alive. My daughter may be able to marry one day, thanks to your bravery.
The man hesitates briefly, then thrusts the leather pouch towards you.
I wonder if I could have saved, like, if more of them would have survived, if I had come sooner. Maybe that's what the number represented, you know, the dwindling strength of the village. So I do kind of feel guilty about that, and I also feel guilty about maybe killing some of them myself. But as I said, if I was not here, presumably they would have all died, so, you know, maybe they should count their blessings. I'm going to decline the reward. Maybe they can use the gold to rebuild, or, like, help fortificate their village.
We won't accept your gold. Bury your dead, rebuild your village, and be a good father to your daughter.
Boendar looks at you, and you think you can see an approving nod. The man opens his mouth to say something, but then he just shakes his head and finally starts again.
I thank you, dear sir, but there is no way I can let you go with empty hands. Here, take this. My father bought it from a trader, one of your kind.
Okay, so what did he give me? Did he just give me some food? Or did I get something else? No, I think it was just food. So where is the third orc horde then? What does my journal have to say about it? I managed to save some villagers, not everyone. But where is the last orc horde? Because one of them was stopped by a human king, but it means there should still be one. Homestead. Dwarf merchant. Fallowstone. Because I would like to stop the other group of orcs as well, before they kill too many people. But I can't seem to locate them. I guess I will go to Fallowstone. There is a question mark, so maybe I will learn something there.
While taking a rest, you see a cart trundling along the road not far away from you. A young couple are sitting on the box seat, clearly in love and more interested in each other than the rest of the world around them. The sight reminds you of a long unanswered question.
So, I was wondering, what do female dwarves look like?
Pretty. Very pretty.
Uh-huh.
You were expecting a little more information.
Do they have beards?
No, I would say it's more like fluff. Oh, very attractive.
And what do they do? I mean, are they warriors too?
In our kingdom, most take care of domestic life. They take the animals down to the meadows in the valleys, make sure the larder are full and that there's plenty of good beer, and make our clothes.
It only ever causes problems when men and women stand shoulder to shoulder in battle.
Some of them are talented stonemasons and smiths, and beware of insulting their skills. They are no less proud than we are.
So I guess the female dwarves in this universe do kind of carry beards as well. They are just shorter than it's more like facial hair rather than a full beard. And I guess them describing it as fluff, it might mean like they have really luscious sideburns or something, which is actually, I find this trope to be kind of endearing. I always, since the days of Tolkien, because after all, this trope of dwarven women having beards comes from the Middle Earth. I've always found this concept to be kind of endearing, because to me it speaks to a different standard of beauty that the dwarves hold compared to humans, and I really like it because it portrays a people that is that are different from humans and that have things that we find unattractive, because obviously the vast majority of humans, I would say, would find facial hair on a woman to be kind of unattractive. Not to mention a full beard, because that would kind of resemble being with a man. It's so ingrained in our minds that beards and facial hair is something that men have. So most humans would presumably find that very unattractive, but I like the idea that for the dwarves is different, and their whole culture and even their very nature, their biology is very masculine, down to the way of their actual women also being kind of masculine compared to human women. And I like the idea of them also, besides the point of them having different standards, I like to think that they just don't care as much for the looks of their women or of the men. Like what I'm trying to say is, I like to imagine that for the dwarves it's the it's the honor of your clan that matters. It's the prestige of your lineage when they look for a partner. It's your deeds as well. It's your personal accomplishments, your skill in craftsmanship. And I like to think that maybe in some of those universes, maybe even for them, women having beards is not necessarily super attractive. But they just don't care that much, because that's not the most important thing to them about relationships. So generally, as funny as that trope is, and as as much as it has a large potential for comic relief, I actually unironically like it. So I'm looking forward to meeting some dwarf women in this game, and it would be very fun to have a companion. So I guess I will see later.
By the evening campfire, Boindil rummages around in his rucksack and pulls out a cheese wrapped in a cloth. He sticks a fist-sized piece on a spit and grills it on the fire.
There's nothing better than grilled cheese at the end of a long day.
The smell it gives off makes you hold your breath.
Oh, it smells like my socks after weeks of marching in my boots.
Oh, picky, are you? Hardly surprising, considering you were brought up by humans. It's ruined your taste.
Boindil holds the stinky cheese at the end of the stick under your nose.
Eat, and stop complaining.
You pull the warm piece of cheese from the stick. It tastes dreadful. Your fingers will smell of it for the next few days, and probably your mouth will too. You arrive at a crossroads with a tavern on the corner. A warm light is emanating from its window, lighting up the road around it. A stone sculpture of a sheep stands in front of the door, and above it a sign, swaying gently in the breeze, reads, "The Stone Sheep." You observe the surroundings, but the road is empty and no one leaves the tavern. You notice a broken window on the first floor, which has been boarded up with planks. Something wet drips onto your nose, and you look up to the cloudy sky with a bad-tempered expression.
Huh. Why are we standing here and just getting wet from the outside?
You enter the tavern with a determined stride, and are greeted by a thick wall of pipe smoke. The dozen or so drinkers at the tables turn towards you, then give each other astonished and slightly worried looks. In the tavern there are half a dozen people sitting at the tables, and just as many at the bar, clearly farmers and labourers from the surrounding villages. Boindale pays no attention to the other guests and trudges over to a table. Together with his brother, you follow him and sit down. The landlord comes out from behind the bar.
What can I get you?
You hear surly muttering from one of the tables.
What are groundlings doing showing their faces here, now of all times?
I guess I can buy them all around. Maybe they will, tell me some interesting gossip. And worst case scenario, maybe it'll better their opinion of the dwarves. Generally speaking, it's not that much.
You stand up and turn to the room.
This round's on me.
The faces of the guests and the landlord brighten up immediately. The landlord gets to work pulling everyone a beer and handing out the tankards. Some of the guests say cheers to you as they get their drinks.
Did two travellers pass this way? One was a famulus, the other a mercenary.
The landlord shakes his head indifferently and mumbles something incoherently. One of the guests is about to say something, but shuts up when the person next to him gives him a poke.
So this was about the two people that I found dead on the road, right? So one was a mage and the other a warrior.
Come on now, tell us what happened. We're all friends here.
The man who was going to speak the first time round looks over to his neighbour, who nods.
Two travellers spent the night here. One had a robe on, the other was a mercenary. The next day they left, all in a hurry. Said they'd been attacked by an elf.
One of the other drinkers finds his voice too.
There was a hell of a lot of noise that night. As if there'd been a dust-up.
You left some gold here for the trouble. I thought they meant the noise, but then I noticed the broken window.
The landlord sighs.
Please don't tell anyone else about this. Who would want to spend a night in a tavern where an elf has been sighted?
Okay, let's see what they have for sale. A bunch of food. I guess I will buy some of it. Yeah, I think I will buy 50 rations, because it is, generally useful for moving around the map, and it's not that expensive. I guess let's ask them, why do they think it's so strange that there are dwarves here?
You turn to the guest who'd muttered something about groundlings.
And why is it so strange that we're here?
The man glances up briefly and then stares drunkenly at his tankard and mutters with a slur,
Don't play the innocent. The orcs are terrorizing our lands. And whose fault is it? You let them in.
I was not at the stone gateway, and I don't know what happened. But you can be sure of one thing. Dwarves would never cooperate with orcs. We kill them no sooner than we say them, or my name isn't Boindale Doubleblade.
The drunkard and his neighbour are given a start. They mumble an apology and turn their attention to the beer in front of them.
Okay. Guess let's rest for the night.
We're tired and long for a proper bed.
Of course, gentlemen.
You spend a restful night in the tavern and then head off on your way again.
Okay, but what about the last orc horde? Like, I cannot seem to actually locate them, which I find to be a little bit annoying, because I would very much like to stop them. Oh, they're over here. That's a very large detour, to be honest, but let's try going and killing them.
Once you reach the top of the hill above Goodwater, you can see what is left of the village. The sea of red roof tiles has given way to a forest of burnt black ruins.
So I guess they destroyed this village, and presumably this one as well, Homestead, because they are encamped over there, unless they are like actively sieging it at the moment. And either way, stopping them is probably
As you near Calmstead,
good idea.
you see that the surrounding fields are in flames. The sound of fighting reaches your ears. You hear the screams of the villagers and the roar of the orcs.
Yeah, attack the orcs to defend Calmstead. Okay, what item can I give to him? I guess I can give him the Talisman of Protection for now.
Help! Let us out! There are still people in the houses!
Oh damn it, I didn't mean to.
Yes?
All right, with you.
End it! Huh?
And what now? Of course!
Huh? With pleasure.
Uh-huh.
Attack! Huh?
Okay.
Yes?
Who's next?
On my way!
Huh?
Yeah!
At once. Uh-huh.
Of course!
There are still people in the houses, so I should presumably concentrate
Come here, you!
on getting them out.
Goodbye forever! What is it?
Yes?
Attack! Yeah! Huh?
Too easy! Huh?
Who's next?
Come here, you! Ha ha! Pow! Another one bites the dust! Too easy!
Vile creature! For Vracus! On my way.
Pow!
Kill.
Another one bites
what
the dust!
now? What is
I
it?
didn't hit you very hard!
Huh?
All right!
Okay, there's another door over here. You know, burning to death is a pretty horrible way to go, so I would very much
My way!
like to save them from that. No, I guess two of them have already died, which is
Done!
kind of horrible when you think about it, so
My way!
better not think about it too hard, because I'm going to feel rather bad about this whole affair.
End it!
Pow! Another
my way.
one bites the dust!
What is it?
Although again, if I wasn't here, it would have probably ended even worse for them.
Say goodbye forever!
As soon as the last orc is killed, you and the twins free the remaining villagers.
It would seem the stories are true. Dwarves really are the best orc killers. We don't have much that we can offer you. Maybe we can rustle up some food.
Yeah, again, they probably do need the food more urgently than we do. You know, we have quite a lot of coin, whereas them, they've just barely survived, you know, their village burning down.
I'm sorry, but we can't accept this.
We can't let you leave empty-handed. If you won't accept anything else, then at least allow us to prepare a feast for you this evening.
Your protests fall on deaf ears. The food is simple but hearty farmer's fare, the beer strong by human standards, and there's also dancing. You only really stayed on out of politeness, but you and the twins end up emptying tankard after tankard. The next morning, you set off again in good spirits and with full stomachs.
Okay, dried flowers stored in a cloth. Pretty but worthless. Oh, I presumably got it from one of the villagers as thanks. Maybe even from a child or something. It seems like something a child could give you as thanks, basically. Okay, so this should be done, shouldn't it? The orc horde that attacked Goodwater is no more. But I think there were 3 enemy hordes, right? Yeah, 3 orc warlords. So, shouldn't it be completed? If the human king has destroyed one of the hordes, and I've destroyed 2... Oh well, let's continue on my way, because I've made...
The farmstead has been plundered, ravaged, and part set on fire. But not all of the buildings are destroyed. You call out for any survivors, but there is no answer. You split up and search for signs of life in the burned-out ruins of the farmstead. You take on the main building. You don't find anything, apart from a charred doll, and the twins have no luck either. There are no signs of life. With a heavy heart, you decide to turn around and continue on your way with the twins.
It was overall quite a detour, but probably worth it.
You see a light through the trees some way from the path. It inevitably brings to mind your encounter with the woodcutters. You tell the dwarves about your encounter with the woodcutters and how you intimidated them.
Ha! Very dwarf-like, but I think we'll have to teach them a lesson anyway.
Humans are not our enemies, Boindil.
Yeah, beating up people is not part of our mission. I do kind of agree.
You must confess that you'd have liked to have taught the woodcutters a lesson, but Boindil is right.
Beating up humans is not our mission.
But...
A harsh glance from you and Boindil silences Boindil. You continue on your way with a furious Boindil trailing behind.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm going to Greenglade finally, because I don't know if the last orc horde even exists anymore. You know, my journal seems to indicate that it doesn't, because there were 3, and as I said, I've destroyed 1, whereas I've destroyed 2, and the Human King has destroyed the 3rd, according to the journal. So, but the quest didn't disappear.
Once again, you reach the crossroads and the Stone Sheep Tavern.
Okay, I think I will buy the rest of the provisions.
You walk to the nearest empty table with the twins in tow and sit down. The landlord comes out from behind the bar and walks over to your table. He gives a narrow smile.
Good to see you again. What can I get you today?
Yeah, let's buy the rest of them.
Despite Boindil's loud protestations about wanting another drink, you say goodbye and set off on your way accompanied by the twins. You arrive at a small, bustling village. One thing is clearly missing from the lively scene: the sound of metal on metal from the village smithy that would normally be heard above everything else at this time of day. A dour, grim-looking man is sitting in front of the forge with his right arm in a sling. His expression brightens as he sees you, and he jumps to his feet.
Dear dwarves, could I interest you in helping me in my workshop for a day?
The man's expression is somewhere between desperation and hope. As you don't answer immediately, he continues.
You will, of course, be royally rewarded for your work. I can offer you 100 gold pieces.
Sure, I think I will do it.
What happened to your arm?
A stupid accident. A box of blanks fell down. I was trying to catch it. It will heal, fortunately, but I won't be able to wield my hammer for a while.
You must have quite a backlog of work.
You nod sympathetically. You always felt bad if you were ill or couldn't work in the forge for some reason or other.
Loads, but if what I hear about the metalworking skills of the dwarves is true, it will be easy for you to manage it in a day.
Sure.
I'll help you. I worked in a forge for a while.
You modestly conceal that in this case, a while means almost a whole human lifetime. A little later, you are standing in the workshop, examining the smith's inferior tools, while he fires up the forge and prepares everything for the job as well as he can with just one good arm. You weren't able to persuade the twins to help you. As warriors, they'd rather go hunting, Boindil declared. But you think it's more probable that you'll find them drinking beer. But you don't care. You're excited about being able to smith again after such a long time. Hours later, you have forgotten everything around you. The heat of the forge, the sweat on your warm skin, the play of the flames. You're in your element and work as if in a trance. The smith left the workshop ages ago with a satisfied grin on his face.
Wait, I'm talking to you.
You look up in surprise. Everything but the beating of the hammer had ceased to exist, and you didn't notice that someone has come in.
Can you do it?
You immediately dislike the middle-aged man. He sounds you out so doggedly with his light grey eyes that it feels as though he wants to look right through you and into your deepest thoughts. The man points to 2 horses.
Those 2, in 1 hour.
Okay.
These 2 need shoeing. Oh, no problem.
The man doesn't look convinced, but you get to work with confidence after examining the horses' hooves. 2 more armed men are standing next to the horses, sizing you up. You concentrate on the work. The only sound you hear is the melodic beat of the hammer against the anvil. You keep track of the armed men out of the corner of your eyes. You suspect they are mercenaries. While you're fitting the 3rd horseshoe, another armed man enters the forge and speaks in hushed tones with the leader of the group.
He's the only one here.
The man nods in your direction, and you quickly shift your attention back to the work. You play it cool and complete the work. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word.
Okay, apparently I have to talk to them.
So, you're mercenaries, I take it?
You're only trying to engage in conversation, but the man looks at you incredulously, as if he didn't expect dwarves to be able to talk.
Something like that.
Got lots of work? Oh, do you know anything about the armies of orcs from the south?
We can't complain.
The man's tone makes it clear that the conversation has ended here. You carry out the work in silence. As the leader of the mercenaries pays you, you have the feeling that he is trying to transfix you with his eyes. The men leave the workshop without a word.
Okay, that last part. Repeat it, and I kind of would like to follow them, but that's not what I'm being paid for. I was paid to work in the smithy for a day, so it would be really rude to just leave in the middle of my workday. So I guess I will let them be. Although I wonder if maybe they are working, not for the side I would think. Maybe they are mercenaries in the service of the Alpha as opposed to the service of the human kings, because judging from the way they were talking about me, it's almost like they were planning to kill me or like attack me.
You ignore the horsemen and concentrate on your work. When you tell the twins about your visitors later on, they know exactly who you're talking about. They encountered them on the way back from hunting. You spend the night in the smith's house and continue on your way, with your well-earned reward the next morning.
Okay, let's finally go to Greenglade.
The hamlet of Sungird certainly lives up to its name. You arrive as the sun sets behind the tower of a Palandial temple, lighting up its stained glass. There's a shop in the village, and through the window, as well as some everyday objects and food, you also spy a shelf full of books.
Okay, I just wanted to make a small detour because it seemed like a, potentially important city, so let's enter the shop, see what it has.
A small bell rings as you enter the shop. The twins look around, but seem rather disinterested, until they discover a couple of gemstones on display. On the wall to your left is the bookshelf you saw through the window. It's quite unusual for a village shop to sell books. You stroll towards the bookshelf and read some of the titles written on the spines of the books. You know many of the works from Lot Yonan's library.
Oh, by Fracas, look, dear brother! The scholar really is looking at books!
It's an interesting selection, Boindil. I could make some recommendations for you.
Boindil throws his arm around your shoulder and pulls you slowly away from the bookshelf.
What if someone sees you? Here, this is more our kind of thing.
You follow him reluctantly and are shown the selection of gemstones.
Okay, so they have more food. As well as, I guess I might buy the healing potion. I earned 100 gold in the village with the smith. So... yeah. Okay, let's finally go to Greenglade.
Boindil is walking next to you in silence. Now and then, he looks at you from the side.
And you really do like books?
Yeah, I'm curious. And you can find many answers in books.
Won't you have found all the answers at some point?
Quite the contrary. The more books you read, the more questions you ask.
Ah, I knew it. Oh, just a waste of time.
You approach the village and can tell even from far off that something isn't right. The smell of burnt wood and death is in the air.
By Vracus.
The piggies have really shown those pointy ears. We couldn't have done it any better.
Stay alert. I want to find out what happened to Goren.
Okay, that was a really fucked up sentiment. I kind of dislike him for saying that, because I understand he might not like the elves because he's a dwarf and they have a natural rivalry because of their very different outlooks on life. But to arrive at a village full of murdered people and say we couldn't have done it any better, come on, that's kind of fucked up when you really think about it. There's someone literally nailed into a tree, and he said we couldn't have done it any better.
The elf maiden's graceful snow-white face still radiates beauty, in terrible contrast to the rest of her appearance. From the neck down, she is nothing more than a blood-red, damp and glistening skeleton. There are long nails sticking through her thin bones, and where her beautiful eyes once were are now gaping black holes.
Okay, so a lot of corpses, and they do highlight, but it doesn't look like I can do anything specific with them.
You have read about the elves and their buildings. This here had always just been a small example of their architectural skill, which achieved perfection in Alandur. Now burning and ruined, the pavilion makes an even sadder impression. The hand that painted this picture was that of a master. It is composed exclusively in shades of red, but every single little detail is painstakingly and precisely reflected. Trees, the remains of buildings, bodies. You hesitate.
This picture portrays the village in its state of ruin.
Examining the canvas more closely, you realize that it is actually made of skin, and the red paint seems more than suspicious now.
So somebody has, presumably one of the attackers, has painted the scene of this massacre with the blood, presumably the blood of the people they have killed. Which, again, pretty fucked up. And I think I will destroy it out of the respect for the people that were killed here.
This is the most disgusting thing I have ever seen.
Although, I would have liked to have seen it kind of myself, but I guess it doesn't really portray that much in-game. I have to kind of imagine how it looked.
The smell of the smoke has accompanied you for a while now, but here, so close to the bodies, it is masked by the sweet smell of death. You have a bitter taste in your mouth and have to pull yourself together to avoid vomiting in disgust.
Okay, there's a body deeper into the fire, but first... Oh, there are some hoof marks as well.
Hoof prints, burned into the ground.
Alfar?
The fire in Boindill's eyes flares up with delight.
Huzzah! That would make a change from those stupid Peggies. Did you hear that, brother? We might get to test our blades on Tion's pointy ears.
Greenglade was one of the few places in Girdlegard where humans and elves live together. You don't see any elven features among all the faces contorted with pain and fear. You look away.
Okay, so he wears a robe of a mage, I think. It looks very similar to the ones I've seen before. So is that Goren?
The Magus had these books on him when he was attacked. Was he trying to bring them to safety?
Your eyes fall upon a sealed letter next to the books. The circumstances seem grave enough for you to break the seal.
Greetings, Tugger. I am glad to hear that you finally wish to confide in Lot Yonan. I have found out something new about the demon. It's all written in these books. I think they are the key to his destruction, or I hope so at least. Yours faithfully, Goren.
Okay, so it was Goren. Oh, wait.
What demon are they talking about?
You instinctively think about how the magical barrier is only a few days' march north of here, and beyond it, Varakas only knows what kind of creatures live in the Perish Land.
You destroyed my painting. Now I need fresh blood to paint a new one.
Huzzah! This will be fun! We finally get to fight!
I hope your blood doesn't clot too much. It has to be nice and fluid for my fine brushstrokes.
Ha! How do you plan to defeat us, pointy ears? There are 3 of us!
Oh, only 3. That makes it easier.
She looks over the corpses.
Otharin lueth buanre.
Okay, so I guess...
What's happening?
I guess that explains why the corpses...
The perished land.
Impossible. Greenglade is south of the barrier.
I know of nothing else that can resurrect the dead. Knock their heads off or they'll keep coming back.
I guess that explains why they were highlighted. But you know what? This fight might actually take a while. Because, you know, there's a bunch of them. And I presume the Alpha herself probably counts as some kind of a boss. And I don't want this episode to be too long. So I'm going to pause here. And I'm going to fight them next time. For now, that's all for this one. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.